Well, good morning, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from beautiful San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coach and speaker in the world. I hope you guys are excited for another wonderful day today. I know I am. You know, you hear a lot of phrases out there that can blend into the environment around you because of familiarity, and although they may be truthful and although they may be powerful, because you have heard them so many times and for so many years, they fall into the scenery in the background and disappear in a category in your mind of rhetoric or I've heard that before, and you know, whatever. There are statements that we can hold on to as anchors that, if we are not careful, can become so familiar that when they are readily available to make a difference in our lives, we have rendered them powerless because of familiarity. And so I would like to bring one to your attention today and give you a twist you may not have considered to date. How to let go and let God. How do you actually let go and let God? Well, let's just consider a circumstance and when that might be appropriate and what that might actually look like. Because there's something it is not, and then there is something that it is. So let us begin with the something that there is not. It is not where you just completely unplug from life, blow everything off, and sit around with your arms crossed, eating bonbons, watching Oprah, and saying, well, I'm just letting go and letting God. I'm just going to let go and let God. Where you just completely have no action or activity or connection. It's just a statement that you flippantly blow out your mouth. I'm just going to let go and let God. That is not how to let go and let God. There is a way to let go and let God, and that's what I'm going to describe to you now. So let's discuss the situation, and then I will give you the sequence. So a situation could be, let's say that you're an adult and you have children, and your child is maybe in elementary school or middle school and they are being bullied. Let's just say as an example. And as a parent, your heart grieves because of the stress and the pain that the child is going through, yet you know it would be inappropriate for you to go to school and backhand the bully, even though you might want to. And then you pray for healing for him, right? But what I'm saying is, you can understand how a parent would want to be as involved as they could be in this scenario. And that parent may get involved with the school, they may get involved with leadership at the school, they may even ask leadership to reach out to parents, but there's a certain amount of involvement that you as a parent can input into the situation. And yet you always reach a point in which you can do no more. That is the crossroads. That is the intersection. That is the place where you didn't sit on the couch eating bonbons, watching Oprah, saying, well, whatever, I'm going to let go and let God. We'll just figure it out, little Johnny, you just figure it out. No, there is the part that says, what can I do to involve myself in improving this situation? What do I have control over? What can I control in this situation? How can I participate? And once you reach the four-way stop, the intersection, the crossroads, where the road splits in half, once you have done all you can do, that is the intersection where you have the opportunity to go down the path of pain and struggle and anxiety and stress and frustration and anger. Have you seen those signposts that point in all the different directions that tell you the street name? Well, if you go down this path, the left over here, it's going to say this way to pain, to stress, to anxiety, to anger, to frustration, to just getting your panties in a bunch. That's this direction. Or you can go this direction, and this is the direction of where you let go and let God. So what exactly does this mean? How do you let go and let God when you reach the intersection of all that you could do to participate in changing the situation? It is, my friend, a communication. It is a conversation. It is a conversation with the one who created you that sounds something like this. Father, I've done everything I can do to help little Johnny. I've talked to the officials. I've talked to the principal. They have a policy where they can't talk. Let me talk to the parents. You know how stressed and frustrated I am. I've done everything I can do to remedy this situation. At this point, I hand it over to you for you to go to work behind the scenes. I hand it over to you for you to touch the hearts of people. And you have a conversation where you literally speak, I'm handing it over to you. And oh, by the way, if you want to add rocket fuel, if you want to add nitrous oxide, if you want to add something that's explosive to it, you better know some word. W-O-R-D, the word of the Lord. You better know some of your Bible. You better know some verses, some promises that you can rest on, because in your deepest, darkest moments, the example Jesus gave us when he was tempted for 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness, when the devil came to mess with him, every single time, Jesus said, it is written. Hey, if you're really the Son of God, you're hungry, you've been eating nothing for like 40 days, 40 nights, why don't you turn this rock into a piece of bread? It is written, man doesn't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Hey, if you're really the Son of God, throw yourself out there. It is written. Don't put your Lord to God. It is written. In other words, he knew his word. Do you know your word? Do you have your sword? Can you fight for yourself? Can you fight for your friends and family? Do you know what to share with him when you're having the conversation, so you have a context of the promises he has made to protect you? Can you say something like this? Lord, your word says in Proverbs that the heart of the king is in the hands of you, and you can direct it any way you want. So I pray for that principle, that you would allow them to have additional compassion in this situation, that you turn their heart. Do you know the word that says, pray for those who despitefully use you, pray for and bless those enemies? Could you say about the bully, and Lord, I just, in the midst of this and letting go and letting you, I pray for that bully. I pray for that bully. How do I know that that bully is not being abused at home? How do I not know that that bully is in a really bad space? How do I know that that bully is not just a broken person taking it out on someone? I don't know, but I pray for the bully. I ask you to bless that bully, to touch him, to heal him, to bring in accordance with your word, which says, pray for those who despitefully use you. Pray for your enemies. Bless your enemies. You got to know that word. If you don't have that word, you're not going to be able to fight right. You're not going to be able to handle it right. So how do you let go and let God? You have a conversation. I hand this situation to you. Now that I am at the crossroads of having done everything that I know to do, everything that I could do on my own, in my own strength, in my own power. I see my mama this morning. Good morning, Mama. I love you so much. Wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be here. I'll give you an example. When I was a teenager and I was struggling as a depressed, suicidal, bipolar, manic depressive drug addict, and my mom and dad did everything they could. They took me to every counselor, took me to every rehab. They gave me every resource that was available to them. They came to a point where all of their resources and creativity ended. And at that point, they had to let me go into the hands of God and say, I let go of the situation. And God, I'm going to let you intervene. And I ask you to surround. I remember my mom was telling me, he can't hear from us. He can't receive from us right now. So send a man to his life who can speak to him and who will share with him that he can receive from. See, she knew her word. She knew her word. She knew what to pray. And letting go and letting God, by the way, doesn't mean that, hey, I no longer feel the pain. I no longer experience the stress and frustration. You will have remnants of that. And that is why it is not a one-time conversation. For those of you that have teenagers, can you tell your teenagers, hey, we have a standard here at the house. We'd like you to keep your room clean. Do we understand each other? Okay, great. Clean room. Right? It's a conversation you only have to have one time, right? I don't think so. You have it all the time. And it's the same thing. The trigger is every time you have the anxiety or the fear or the stress or the pain arise, you have the conversation again. Whoo, I'm feeling that stuff again. But God, I have let this go. I let go of it. I put it into your hands. I don't want to take it back out of your hands. Well, actually, I kind of do want to take it back out of your hands and bring it into my world and get all dramaed out again and get all freaked out again, because at least if I'm freaking out, I feel like I'm doing something. Because I kind of feel irresponsible if I just put it on you. Well, no, but you've done your part, you see. So it's an ongoing conversation. Father, I give this to you again. Father, I acknowledge I give it to you again. I've done everything I know to do in this situation. If there's anything that you think that I should do different, just make it clear to me, make it plain to me so that I can take that action. Until I hear clearly from you, I put this back in your hands. And you may have this conversation 50 times a day. When you're triggered by the negative emotion or the negative feeling or the fear or the anxiety or the worry, you have the conversation again. Lord, I put this in your hands. I have put this in your hands. And then you can ask for peace in the midst of the storm. You see, he may not remove the storm, but he can give you peace in the midst of the storm. After all, one of his names is the Prince of Peace. So you have the opportunity to let go once you've done all you know to do, and let God go to work on it. Do your best not to pick it back up, and be prepared to have the conversation over and over and over again every time you trip out. And eventually and ultimately, a peace that surpasses all of your understanding will begin to guard your heart and your mind as you rest in him, trusting that when you put it in God's hands, you've placed the situation, the person, the circumstance in the very best hands in the universe. Have a great day, guys.